And it is so beautiful, guys, because in my recent conversation with a prospect, this beautiful woman is sharing to me that she is in a relationship with a man a little bit younger than herself. And she's been seeking this relationship for some time now. And finally, this man shows up. She actually meets him on the dating site. And this man shows up and she creates all sorts, and she admits it. She creates all sorts of fears, about him being a little bit younger than her, and all the rest of it. And I begin to slow her down and I ask her, can you tell me what's the main reason? What's the source of your fear? And she goes, I will never provide kids. She goes, I'm of that age that I will not be able to give him children that he wants. I go, let's slow that down even more. Did he tell you that he wanted children? And that's when the magic appears. Well, he actually didn't. Huh. So how did it come to be? Well, he's a younger man. He must want children. How do you know? Did he share that with you? Oh, well, no, he didn't. So what are you doing here? You're actually assuming. You're thinking for him. And that creates a barrier between you, him, and that next step that you could take. And that next step is just an invitation to clarity. If I, Irina, am confused and fearful about what that man wants, I could simply ask him. I can ask and create that clarity. And I could be honest with that beautiful person and say, hey, I am older and I'm kind of wondering if we were to continue, what are you expecting out of this relationship? Because I'm caught up in this worrying, you know, about not being able to provide children to you, for you. And when she heard that, she goes, well, it could be that easy. Yes, it could. But the only thing it requires us to be courageous, a little bit courageous, to actually begin that conversation, to step in to that resistance and open up, and to be a little bit vulnerable, to speak about our fears. Because, guys, I could tell you, me too. I remember assuming, especially at the beginning of my career as a coach, when there was, well, how do I feed my dog? I got to find clients that I want to work with. How do I do that? How do I connect? How do I build those relationships? And Gail, this is where you come in. Because as coaches, as all of us, 8 billion people out there, we need to create a simple understanding about creating relationships. Because, it is never about what we know. It is never about how we know that that person is available to talk or not available to talk. Are they able to spend time with me, or maybe I'm a burden? I actually have another example. And after I'm going to ask you guys what's landing. I have another example. My mother, God bless her heart, 75 years old. I got sick recently, and that beautiful woman, she lives about 25 minutes away from me driving, and I couldn't pick her up because I was so sick. And she knew that I was sick, and she goes, Irina, I'm coming by and I'm bringing soup and I'm bringing all sorts of stuff because, that's what she feels she needs to do, to take care of me. And that's totally cool because I couldn't even get myself up to make myself a soup or anything. But there's Uber. So I told my mother, I go, Mom, there's Uber Eats. No, that beautiful woman says, Irina, I'm coming. I'm taking transit. I'm coming. The moment she arrives, she sees me and she's like, this is it. I brought you some soup. Here are some meatballs and whatever she made. She goes, and then I'm going to be out of your hair. I go, Mom, you don't need to be out of my hair. Well, I know you're busy. I don't want to impose. I go, Mom, you're not imposing. And my mom continues, no, Irina, if you could tell me if there's anything that I can help you with, and if not, I'm just going to go back. I go, Mom, it is absolutely your decision, but I want to let you know that you can stay here without the need of being helpful, of needing to be helpful, of needing to be of value to me, because just your presence is enough. And that beautiful woman slowed down, and I saw that in her. I go, tell me, what do you want to do, Mom? And she's sitting there, and you could tell she's feeling a little guilty. She goes, well, I actually was thinking that I need to go to the store nearby because there's, these fruits that I want to purchase. I go, Mom, that's available to you. You don't need to feel any sort of way. Because, guys, if we listen to our wisdom, we always have our answers within us. If we want to do something or not to do something, it's always available to us. And that is the point of connections, you see? We can always make an offer, an invite to connect, coming from that place of no need, no attachment to their thoughts, their ideas, or our beliefs of what is true for them, or what is real for them, or whether they're busy, or if we will be a burden. No, we could always offer, let's connect, a personal offer. Hey, I've been thinking about you. Now we could share something vulnerable. I'm feeling kind of lonely, and I was wondering if you had 5 minutes to talk. Or if you want to come from the coaching aspect and invite a prospect into a conversation, which we haven't even established the fact that that person wants to be a prospect. We could just offer an invitation to connect. Hey, what has been happening in your life? How have you been doing? I'm kind of curious. And get on the phone. Because you see, when we don't come from that place of superior or inferior, when we come from a place of no need, not needing to be somebody important, somebody professional, somebody of any kind of identifying thought. If we could just come from a place of compassion and being, and just offer that conversation and say, hey, and there's many ways to connect. Because you see, the thought of us being alone is only in our head. And I'm gonna stop right here, guys, because I'm noticing right now that I could hold those podcasts and I could talk. I don't seem to be having a problem. But it is great when you have an audience. Guys, what are you hearing through this? And please raise your hand and come on up and share with me. What have you heard?
I guess I've heard that I can't assume what other people are thinking. And even if they do extend themselves, I still think, you know, um, exactly. It's better not to assume what they're thinking or feeling.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly that, Gail. Because we do not have an ability. Do not. And see, that is where that is where the truth got uncovered for me. Because I used to be the person who thought I knew opinions of others about myself, thoughts of others about myself, their likes, dislikes, and that made me always come from a place of insecurity because I thought I knew what they were thinking, the way they were behaving towards me, and all the rest of it. And when I slowly, through my work together with the two greatest coaches that I am continuously working with, and guys, if you are curious, I'll share with you podcasts of Claire Diamond. She's amazing. And we have worked together with her for about a year and a half. And through that work, I've recognized the shifts in my own thinking that I've begun to create. And the first was this, that if we do not have any control of how people perceive us, people's opinions of us, we can let it go. Just cast that aside. What's the use of worrying about something that we do not have a control of anyway? And from that place of freedom, you began to explore and experience what is that next step you want to do? Because now you could simply connect. Now you could invite that person to a conversation and hear a yes, a no, or a maybe. And Mark heard that a great Steve Chandler, mentor of ours, has always said, to a question, and Gail, that's a question to you. How many answers do you get to a question that hasn't been asked?
None.
There you go. And I remember when he, during his live interviews, Steve Chandler said that, and I slowed down. I was like, how many answers do you? None. Exactly. And you get at least three to a question that has been asked. And it may very well be a no, a yes, or a maybe. And that maybe leads you into that great potential to maybe have another conversation or maybe reach out one more time when that person is available or leaving that space and sitting in that, you know, a bit of a understanding, hey, what's there? And that is where everything begins. And that's another thing. I remember when I recognized that their no was never about you. Never about you. Never about the kind of person that you are and whether they like you or don't like you and how, sufficient or inefficient they think you are or professional or whatever kind of value because I used to get so hang up on what kind of value am I providing? I have no idea what kind of value you, Gail, or you, Mark, can get from this call. Zero. Because I can't control that. So why would I even worry about that? I can show up and from that inspiration, share everything that I know and set it free. Because only when, you come from that place of inspiration, of talking about your own experiences. That is the place to come from. Because the only thing that we could do, guys, in our coaching career, in our counseling career, or even, in now creating relationships with people that we want to, that next thing that we want to explore and experience, we can only talk about experiences that led us to this moment, the learning we have created from now. We cannot talk about anything else because truthfully, the only way you're going to be able to authentically share something is by coming from your experience. I got to share this story with you. Oh, Mark, do you want to share what has resonated or where have you heard?
Okay, I'm back. Just a few things. Remain curious, and the key to true connection is to come from the heart. Uh, that's what I heard, specifically what you shared about with your mother. Uh, but really, everyone else. It has to be from the heart. It has to be authentic. It has to be from that position of willing to serve, to give rather than to receive, and that only comes from the heart. It's not the head. So
Absolutely.
that's what landed for me, Irina.
Mark, amazing.
Truly.
Amazing. So, do you guys, at this point, because this is a discussion, do you guys have any questions that you would like to ask um, to continue this conversation? How do we connect? Once,
Even when it comes from the heart, even when it comes from the heart, I find people generally, well, maybe I'm trying to connect with the wrong people. I look at my family, my brothers, and for some reason they tend to, they don't want to talk on the phone, but they'll type a lot. But there's no conversation in typing. For me, that's not a conversation. And that's how they connect. It's
so beautiful to see, Gail.
and if I so the whole idea is if it comes from the heart, it might mean that I need to receive something, and maybe they're not available or they're not able to, or do you see what I'm saying?
And you see,
So coming from the heart is not being, sorry,
go on, coming from the heart.
coming from the heart is not necessarily giving. It's it may be asking to receive something.
Okay. And it could also be that we don't know. How is it, maybe our conversation then becomes, yes, about an ask, about an offer. Hey, and especially if I'm noticing that, they're wanting to type text messages. And guys, see, that's another concept. Our mind loves to create concepts, right or wrong, or connecting with wrong people or right people. Guys, there's never right or wrong. That's just the concepts that our mind loves to create as.
Or maybe it's just people that are not able to connect with you in the way that resonates with you, and then maybe you need to make new friends, new relationships that
There you
can.
go. That can be that. Because even in the conversation with my brothers, I can be nice and clear about my um my ability to type. Hey, and I don't know the names of your brothers. I'm just going to use John as an example. Hey, John, I'd love to connect just to see how you are. Um, I don't I don't like type messages, that doesn't seem like a conversation to me. Um, I was wondering, would you be open to connecting on the call or maybe grabbing a coffee? Let me know. Bang. And that could be as clear as that. Because now John can say, hey, Gail, yeah, actually, thank you for an invitation. I'd love an opportunity to connect over the phone or grab a coffee. Or he may simply say, hey, Gail, I don't have the time today. But you know what? We could do it over the weekend. And now Gail gets to decide. Yeah, John, I'd love to do it over the weekend. Let's go. What time would be best for you? And now we're exchanging information. We're not exchanging thoughts, unconscious assumptions, um, our emotions about the way others responded to our invitation. You see, we get to be in the reality of what is.
Right.
What have you heard in that, Gail?
That if the only form of communication that they seem to gravitate to, whether it's the younger generation or not, that I could just say, I'd love to connect with you. It could be as simple as that. And typing is not a conversation for me. It doesn't resonate with me. How about we
That's it. I remember when I
yeah.
signed up to a dating site at the beginning of the summer, in June. I remember that very clearly. And I was so new to this. Oh my God, 15 years of marriage and this separation followed by divorce later on, and then me recognizing 6 months later that I am open to some kind of a relationship. I am open at least to meeting someone, to talking. And I remember
Mhm.
jumping into this pool of dating and and actually dating apps, and I'm beginning to notice that, yeah, everybody now create they talk over text. And that was something that I was
Yeah.
like, I'll send 1, 2, 3 texts, but you know what, if we're curious about one another, let's get on a call. Here's my phone number. You want to give me a call? I'd love to talk to you. I'd love to meet you. Not, I'll totally understand. And guys, it was absolutely, and I would just come on and say, hey, I'm an old timer. I'm sorry. I don't I can't speed type. I got none of that. But I do have 5, 10, 15 minutes for a call. I want to hear your voice. Because guys, in those
Mhm.
times when we are present to what is going on, we are able to understand, and especially, Mark, that comes with our clients, with our prospects. When we get on the call with them, now we're listening. Now we've got an ear for what is true in their life. Where are they coming from? What are they currently experiencing? We don't need to be coaching them on that essential introduction call. But then we get an opportunity to either email them or text them and say, hey, during our call back then, I heard that, you were moving to another job. And I could just imagine how much fear you're going through. Hey, would you like a thinking partner? Because you and I can get on a call and could experience a conversation that may bring clarity to some of the issues that you're currently going through. And it is totally okay if you say no. And if you ever need this call, it's available to you. No need. You see, no need. When we come from no need, people respond. I
Mm.
Yeah, what are you noticing, Gail?
Well, the way you presented it, it was like you're offering something that you could give.
I could be of service to.
I
You
could
see?
be of service to.
Yeah, because we could.
Well, what is, yeah,
Gail, we
yeah,
could be of service because that
yeah.
service is a simple presence to that other person. That could be of
Mm,
service. You see, it's not necessarily that I got to buy somebody a coffee, or I got to make up somehow for the time they're spending with me, because I'll tell you guys, when they say yes to that conversation, they're looking forward to as much as you do. And, there's now no need to feel guilty about them wasting or spending their time on you. It actually could be just an opportunity to be real and present with them. Mark, was there anything that you
mm.
wanted to share? I saw you leaning in. Or you okay?
Let's see. Okay. Am I there? I'm there. I am unmuted. Um, just some minor things, but this is what I took away from the conversation, Irina and Gail. We can either approach calls, relationships, um, from the heart or from the head. And when we stop and think, if we're looking for something, if we have an objective, that's the head.
Yeah,
If we're open to it, that's from the heart,
yeah,
and having an open heart.
you got it.
And there's a distinction, and it's easy to catch it. Um, selfishness, that's not heart, that's head. When there's an objective, and Gail, I guess I would go back to, for instance, if the brothers want to communicate via text and you want to do it via phone, all right, it gets back to what Irina said a few minutes ago. Yes, no, or maybe. Well, that kind of falls into the maybe,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
And that heart-centered activity to that would be, you want to communicate, you want to have that relationship. That's where you're acting from the heart. To not do it because you don't want to text, or for them to not do it, now you've got two heads, and where's the love, if you will,
That's it.
to quote Donny Hathaway. But that's so often you have to pull back and just realize, where am I operating from? Where am I coming from? Where am I being? Heart or head? The heart is good. That's where the love is. Okay. And that embodies true service, true caring. The head usually has an agenda, or judgment,
That's it.
or digging in. And where do you want to operate from at that point in time? Your choice, as
Yeah,
it is theirs.
you got it.
Yeah.
Mark, you got it. You got it.
Yeah.
Because, guys, there was on December 7th, I attended a wedding of my dear friends. And they were marrying their daughter off to, actually, it was two of my dear friends, and their children got married. There's two beautiful couples, and their children, son and daughter, got married. And the father of the daughter was so, he was so consumed by delivering a speech, because he's the father, and he needs to deliver a speech. He comes to me and he goes, Irina, maybe you could help me. And we set aside some time and we get present. He goes, Irina, I need to deliver a speech. I need to deliver an important speech. And I go, what do you want to say? Do you want to say something to impress others? Because you'll never be able to do that. Why? We don't have the control. How? We don't have the control. How do we know that we're impressing others? Because they're clapping? They could be just clapping because, they all got
They're
some
polite.
kind of pleasing game. And I go,
Mhm.
what do you want to say? And actually, right now, a quote by Brene Brown comes to mind in her recent book, Dare to Lead. Amazing book. And she says, say what you want to hear and write what you want to read. Oh, when I heard that, I went, oh my God, that is so true. Say what you would like to hear. And I said it to him. And I go, come from the heart. Don't try to impress anybody. Say what you want to say. But what if it's going to be too much, Irina? Too much for who? Now, you see, we're again, is it going to be wrong or right? Or we're again conceptualizing.
Judgment.
Too much for who? Wrong for who? And then that beautiful man on the day of the wedding comes on the stage, and I got, of course, he goes, a smart person once told me to speak from the heart. And guys, he wrote a poem. The whole 75 people who came to that wedding, we were crying because that poem touched everybody's heart because it was real, you see? Because when we come from no need to impress somebody or, you know, to be there, you know, to be professional, superior, to know what I'm talking, but to be vulnerable in saying what is true for me, that is when it gets to people's ears. That's when they want to listen to you. What have you heard in that? That is how we connect, guys. That is how we connect. And that is rule number
True
one.
connection.
And I didn't get it for a longest time. And I remember my coach, Melissa, telling me over and over again, Irina, put that 10-foot pole down. And for me, that 10-foot pole represented all the fear, you know, all me knowing what they're going to say, me rather communicate to them through Facebook messengers or, you know, social posts instead of picking up the phone. And it was so hard, you know. I had so much resistance because of those thoughts that I had created, you know. Who am I to be reaching out to them? What am I going to be offering? Do they even have time for me? Do they know whether I'm professional coach or not professional, or why am I reaching out to them? Until finally I remember she said, Irina, we're not going to be concentrated on the people we want to connect with. We want to concentrate on one person, one that you know would want to receive your call, would want to jump on the call with you. One. And we're going to go from there. We're going to invite them because it's never about you and, you know, the need to be better or more, or it's just simply about connecting. And when the truth is in that, in honoring your need to connect. And sometimes that need to connect could be, for me as a coach, offering a program that I think is going to help that person. Why? Because I've had 1, 2, 3 conversations with them. And I know that I can share what I see with them. And they can say yes or no or maybe. And that's going to be okay because that's not going to say anything about my ability to coach, my ability to connect, my ability to say, you know, to say, to do anything. That's it. It's just going to be about that, connecting, offering a chance to talk. And whether, Gail, it's in your case with your brothers or with your stepchildren, yeah, I want to know how you're doing. Hey, do you have 5 minutes to jump on the call? Because I don't like to text. Yeah, I gotta, you know, in today's life, I got 3 pairs of glasses that I gotta change every time I text. So, you know, why? Why I'm gonna do that? So that's it. And just coming from that clarity of the heart, coming from that inspiration, oh, in regards to inspiration, guys, I have such a good story. There's this wonderful woman, a coach. She's tried 2 programs with me. Amazing. Every time I ask her, "Hey, do you want to continue?" It's like, "No, I'm not ready." And I get it. I also been there. I've been there where I understood that in order for me to step into the one-on-one coaching relationship, I got to be committed. I got to be ready for that kind of level, sorry, of commitment. So, we go through programs, time passes, and recently she connects with me and she sends me a message on WhatsApp and she goes, "Hey, Irina, I want to ask you a question, a very confrontational question." She goes, "How much are you making as a coach?" And I'm listening to that text and I'm like, wow, it is confrontational. And then she goes on and she explains it. And she goes, "Irina, I'm not asking this because I need to know how much you're making and what your budgets are." She goes, "But I need an inspiration." And I went, yeah, guys, if we think that our inspiration is ever going to come from more money, today is 6 figures, tomorrow is multiple figures, after tomorrow it's 7 figures because I want to be with doggy dogs, I want to be. And I simply responded with one thing, because guys, inspiration for me never came through external material things. It always came from within, because we get to experience the transformation from within. Now it's no more about the information of what's out there, what's possible. Now I get to transform and be the change that I want to be and want others to be. And that's where inspiration thrives. And because yeah, she says the same thing. She goes, "How are you creating these amazing events and constantly working, working, working? Where do you get an inspiration, especially when you hear the no?" Because it's not about the no, guys. It's never about the no. It's about the thinking we have about them saying no to us, thinking that, what do they think of us? They think I'm lesser than. They probably think, yeah, maybe I'm not professional and I can't offer that value to them. That is what has us on the benches, kind of not making that call, not making that extension of, let's connect. It's our thinking that's always in the way. Guys, I'm noticing we got 3 more minutes. Do you have any questions? Do you have, anything that you want to share?
You make it sound really easy. I'm hoping that it's as easy as you made it.
It is. It is. And it comes through series of shifts. And I remember that same mentor, Steve Chandler, always shared this thing. He goes, he says, our own evolution sometimes is not visible to us. And yet we are experiencing the progress. It's just right now, it's not visible. Because one day when I woke up and I understood that the way I lived my life, I was lacking something. And it wasn't found there. It was, I couldn't find it externally. And it was very scary to look internally. But when I did, it actually wasn't scary. It all it did for me is taking one step after the other, one step after the other. And I went on and I tried. And some, I'm not going to say I failed. I didn't succeed. And I took the learning away from that. And I went, okay, I could do it differently this time. And I could actually test it out because, guys, our human existence here on Earth is about learning from our experiences. That's all. Learning and testing a new thing out. Learning and testing. Testing and learning. It's not about us not getting something or us being lesser than. Because the only time we feel not full, not complete is when our ego is talking. Ego, that egoic thought. Oh God, I cannot do what they do. And rightfully so. You surely cannot do, but you can do something what you can do. Your unique way. Because you are unique. Mark,
Thank you, Irina.
yeah. Mark, do you have
Thank you.
anything to add?
Irina, you are so good. Truly, so much wisdom, so much clarity that you just offered. And that's what's powerful in your making this hour available to Gail and myself. There's just so much, whether it's to learn something new or to be reminded of the wisdom that we may have heard before. This was so good.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Guys, and
Thank you.
Thank you.
yeah, if you ever want to continue this conversation, this is available to you. Reach out. Let me know, hey, Irina, this part resonated. And we'll have that talk. It doesn't have to be, and that is another thing that I learned. And Mark, it applies straight to our coaching. You see, that's the conversation, that's the relationship. And after one or two conversations, I can offer, hey, if this has resonated deeper, we could take a look at an opportunity of continuing one-on-one, month, 2, 3. You tell me what works for you. Because I can offer a conversation at no charge, with no strings. And what I usually say to prospects, 1 or 2. I typically offer 1 or 2 conversations at no charge. Well, why, Irina? Why? Well, because I don't know how committed you are to the changes that you want to see in your life. I don't even know whether we're going to align. So why, make this payable contract if I don't even know you, if I haven't created a relationship with you yet? That is what it is. Creating a relationship, connection. And we begin with that. And later on, you could take it as you go. You could do or not do, as long as it helps you right now, creates clarity in where you want it to go. And if you're ready, great. We'll set aside 10 minutes to talk about it. If you're not ready, okay. I had a great time working with you. If you're ever ready for more, contact me. That's it. That's it. And guys, it is as easy as that, because now it doesn't create any thinking, and especially like we said, when it comes from no need, because people feel we have this BS detector right here when we are being sold something. And the more we're being pushed towards something and sold, the more we kind of resist and push away. That's it. In all of the conversations, not even coaching offers, all of the conversations. So guys, I love you. If you want to talk, you let me know. You know how to get a hold of me. And next month, we're going to have topic number 2, how to work on our invitations. Let's go. Bye,
Thank you,
guys.
Irene.
Bye.
Irina, you're awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.